Today on Stock Charts in Focus, we're leveling up your relative strength analysis using the performance view for your chart lists to dig into relative strength for a whole group of symbols across multiple time frames. We're not just doing this one symbol at a time or one time frame at a time. We're actually going to use this feature to fill up a chart list full of the stocks or funds that we are watching. We're going to enter our benchmark and we're actually going to be able to see relative strength across a whole bunch of these different time frames right in the same place for a whole group of securities. This is great for portfolio analysis. It's great for filtering down your watch list. It's great for digging into things like the sectors or the major indexes. Lots of uses. You're going to see it in action here today on SharpCharts and in ACP. So lots to cover. You know what it is. It's all new. It's all here. It's Stock Charts in Focus. All right, my friends, welcome to the show, Stock Charts in Focus. Of course, our product focus show here on the channel where we dig into the site, dive into the tools, show you around the features, and ultimately help you get more value out of stock charts. That's our mission here every Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern Time, up on the live channel, also up on our YouTube channel after that, and the on-demand platform at StockChartsTV.com. You got lots of ways to watch. My name is Grayson Roze, Vice President of Operations here at StockCharts.com, and it is wonderful to be back with you. We had to take last week off, of course, for ChartCon. We had a fantastic time with 17 different analysts, all in our Redmond HQ, Redmond, Washington headquarters here for Stock Charts. But we had all of them joining us to share their wisdom, really dig into the markets, dig into concepts and strategies, so many different things. So if you joined us at ChartCon last week, hopefully you had a blast. If you missed ChartCon, rest assured we're going to do another one of those in the future. And this is really the only the beginning of more live events and really exciting kind of bigger presentations that we're going to be doing with Stock Charts TV. We got a beautiful new studio, as you're going to see, and more content. So lots more coming if you did miss ChartCon. Now, today we're going to have a good time. We're digging into a feature that I personally really love. And this feature actually kind of does double duty. It's a great feature as it comes kind of out of the box. You can use our new performance view for both SharpCharts and ACP chart lists. You can use that view to see performance, price performance, percentage changes up and down over a whole bunch of different time frames. Again, as we kind of said in the opening, this is really great for digging into your portfolio. It's great for watch lists. It's great for following what the markets are doing in different corners, whether you're looking at sectors or industries or even the major indexes. So that's kind of the first thing that this tool does, and that's what it does kind of out of the box when you first load it up. There's a second thing that this tool does, though. If you're paying close attention, that's what you're going to see in action today. You can actually enter any benchmark that you want, and we'll take all those symbols in that chart list on that performance view, and we'll reformat them, we'll run the calculations again, and we'll show you relative strength, or how one security is moving relative to your benchmark over all of those different time frames. So if you want to say not just how are all the stocks in the S&P 500 doing overall over these different time frames, you can actually say how have all the stocks in the S&P 500 done over all these different time frames relative to the S&P 500 itself. It is an incredibly powerful little tool. Plus, of course, you can jump from that tool right into the charts. And as you're going to see on today's show, you can put relative strength lines on your charts themselves as well. So you kind of get the full package with that performance view and your charts. Again, this is available in SharpCharts and in ACP. So we're going to take a look at both of those today. It is a fairly straightforward concept. So we're really going to kind of show you how it works. I'll give you a couple ideas of how I use this, areas of my own account that I like to use this in. And like I said, we'll do it in SharpCharts and in ACP. So with that, let's jump over to the site and get going. So here we are on Stock Charts. We are in the SharpCharts world now. What I've gone ahead and done is pulled up a chart list from my own account. As you can see, this has the S&P 500 members in it. I've chosen this because it's a great list of stocks that people typically want to think about and choose from. Now, it's also great because the benchmark is pretty clear. We can compare, as we were just saying, all the stocks in the S&P 500 to the S&P 500 itself. So to get to this new performance view, you got a couple of different ways to do this. Once you've gotten into a specific chart list though, you might have pulled up something like summary view as we're looking at right now, or maybe chart list view, chart book view, any of the other views that we have for chart lists. When you come to one of these views, you have this view list as menu. You're going to open that up, and this is all of the different chart list views that you have. So things like we were just mentioning, summary and chart list. We've got edit mode down at the bottom. In between though, we've actually got a couple of new views that we added earlier this year. One of those is symbol summary, a view that I also like to use quite a lot. But the other one is performance view. So once you pull up a chart list, all you've got to do is open this menu, click onto performance, and there you go. You are now on the new performance view for your SharpCharts chart lists. Now, you can use this with any of the chart lists from your account, no matter what is in them. So any of those lists that you've created, whether they're stocks, ETFs, cryptocurrencies, indexes, anything that is in them, you can pull that up in this performance tab. What this is doing, again, out of the box, is showing you price performance moves, percentage moves, over all of these different common timeframes that we typically like to think about. 1 day performance, how are these things doing today? 5 day performance, basically 1 week, especially when you get to the end of the week. 1 month, 3 month, 6 month, year to date performance, and 1 year performance as well. We've got big plans for this tool, so we're going to add more timeframes and even possibly add a custom timeframe option to give you complete control over what you're seeing on the screen. But typically, these are some of the most common timeframes that we think about, right? How is this done over the last couple of days? How's it done year to date? That's a common one that a lot of people are talking about right now, since the highs were almost right at the beginning of 2022. So this is a great tool sort of out of the box. Again, you've got all of your stocks, you've got those timeframes, and you can sort by any of these. So it's going to be sorted typically by name when you first view the page. But if you want to sort it by year-to-date performance from top down or from bottom up, depending on which side of the market you're playing, all you've got to do is click any of these columns to kind of resort this table. So we can see here at a quick glance what this page is telling us is of the stocks in the S&P 500, Occidental Petroleum is the biggest gainer year to date with 131.36% gain. So it's a great tool here, the performance view, showing you those price performance metrics right out of the box. But there's something very, very cool that we can do with this page in the top left corner. Again, today's show is all about relative strength, comparing different symbols to a specific benchmark of our choosing. So up here in the top, you can see that we have a compare to box. What that's going to allow us to do is enter a benchmark symbol that we want to compare all of these stocks against. So in this case, what we can do is type in something like SPY, that's the S&P 500 tracking ETF. Or if we wanted the S&P 500 index itself, we could also do that. Personally, I like to compare against SPY or actually VTI, as you're going to see in a little bit. But let's use SPY as our benchmark for today. Once we type in that box, we can either hit go or hit enter right on the keyboard. And now what we've done is reformatted this entire table to show us relative strength performance against that benchmark, against SPY or the S&P 500 itself. You can see that actually in the symbol column. Behind the scenes, what we've done is we sort of changed the page around to use ratio symbols. On StockCharts, when you're charting, when you're entering a symbol anywhere that you are, you can always compare two symbols by separating them with a colon. So you can see behind the scenes what we've done is we've taken this page, we've taken all 500 entries in this table, and we've actually just converted those on the fly to be ratio symbols. We've actually left those in here so that you can kind of get a sense. It's almost a little educational lesson. Here's what you do to create one of these ratio symbols. So we've got, for instance, A:(SPY. That's going to compare Agilent versus SPY. We've done that with everything in this table. Now, the other thing that gets reformatted, of course, are the performance values. So instead of looking at how Agilent has done over the last 1 day or 1 month or year to date, we're actually looking at how has this stock done relative to the S&P 500 over those different timeframes. So if we sort this, for instance, by year to date performance, we're still going to have Occidental Petroleum up at the top, we can see that that number has actually changed because now Occidental Petroleum hasn't just gone up year to date by 136% or whatever the number was before. Instead, Occidental Petroleum, as we can see here, has outperformed the S&P 500 SPY by 155%. So really, really cool how on the fly you can just kind of reformat this table and get those different relative strength values across time frames. Now, you can also hover over any of these symbols to actually get a little mini chart of kind of how that relative strength has moved throughout the year. So we can see, for instance, Oxy versus SPY has been a steady outperformer. This little mini chart, instead of looking at Occidental Petroleum itself, we're looking at that ratio symbol. We're looking at the relative strength line. So really, really nice to be able to see these things. Now, where this comes into play kind of in your strategy, you can use this again for digging into the markets, seeing how different indexes have performed over different time frames. You can use this for sector analysis or industry analysis. You can use this with all the stocks and funds in your portfolio. You could use it with your watch list as a way to kind of filter things down. If you've got a whole list of setups in a chart list that look pretty good to you, but you're trying to figure out how to filter those down, this can actually be a really nice little filter. Maybe you only want the stocks that have outperformed whatever your benchmark is over everything up until the 6-month performance line or something like that. So you can actually use this relative strength tool in the performance view as an additional filter for some of your analysis. Think about running a scan, getting a whole list of stocks back, and you want to kind of find the strongest ones in there. You want to sort that list of maybe 100 or 200 or 300 stocks. You want to sort that down to a more manageable list. This can help you do that. Again, showing you that those relative strength values over all those different time frames, letting you kind of pick the best ones that have been truly the strongest, not just recently, but over multiple time frames going back in time as well. So a very, very cool little tool here. I personally like to use this with my portfolios, again, with watch lists, things like that. I actually like to use VTI as my benchmark. VTI is the Vanguard Total Index that represents the total US stock market. So when I'm thinking about something like, for instance, my tier 1 watch list, these are stocks that have kind of come across my watch list. This is typically the view that I use on that performance tab. I'll reformat everything as benchmarked against VTI, benchmarked against how the total market is doing. And then I like to find things that have been outperforming over the last 3 months at least, sometimes the last 6 months as well. So we can jump down in here to last 6-month performance, sort this table. We can see the different things that have been incredibly strong over those different time frames. So when you see green from basically everything all the way over to the left, for instance, cross-country healthcare has green numbers outperforming VTI on all of these time frames, year to date, 1 year, 6 month, 3 month, 1 month, 5 day, down a little bit today. But when you see that relative strength kind of across all of those different time frames, that is something really, really strong. So I might want to dig into some of those symbols. So once you get a big list of ticker symbols like this one isn't even too big, but 34 symbols, and you're trying to kind of narrow that down to the list of the strongest ones, this is the kind of tool that can help you do that. Now, one other really nice thing about this too is that, of course, you can jump right over the charts from this page. So you can always click on the name, that's going to open up a chart, but you do have that links column on the left. So if you want to jump over to our symbol summary tool or to a sharp chart, you can jump over to gallery view, pull up a PNF chart, even pull up something like a seasonality chart for any of these symbols. You've got those quick action links right there. If we do want to jump over though to the chart itself, again, you can always click the name. And now something else that I mentioned we were going to do on today's show was kind of take a look at relative strength on the charts. Got to clear out my notifications here. So this is a really nice little feature, kind of a nice setup here with the performance tab and the chart. We've got our performance tab here. We're looking at relative strength over all of these different time frames. But on all of my charts, I've also added a relative strength line at the very top. You're going to see that here in SharpCharts. I'll also show you that in ACP in just a second. So when I jump over from that relative strength page, that performance tab for any of my SharpCharts or any of my chart lists, when I jump over from that to the chart itself, I've kind of got those numbers mirrored right here with this relative strength line at the top of the chart. So I actually keep my charts these days fairly simple. I've got kind of a leveling system. We've talked about that on the show in the past. So I've got other indicators that I use, but primarily my sort of default view is a fairly simple chart. I've got a couple of moving averages. I've got volume on here, my candlesticks, but right above that, I've actually got the relative strength line. So you can see in this case, what we're looking at is cross-country healthcare versus VTI, that total stock market index. To add this to your charts, all you got to do is come down, choose either the price or price performance indicator from the indicator menu down at the bottom. If you do price, it's going to give you the ratio. If you do price performance, though, it's actually going to format things in percentage terms. So it's going to kind of match those percentage numbers that we were seeing over here on that relative strength tool on that performance tab. So I like to use the price performance indicator, and then we're doing exactly what we were looking at before. That's why I kind of started to go over the ratio symbol concept. You can use a little trick here on the workbench. Type in $ symbol colon whatever your benchmark is, whether it's VTI or SPY, $SPX, anything that you want to use as your benchmark. Type that in after the colon. But if you enter in this little parameters box, if you enter $ symbol, that's going to tell SharpCharts, hey, whatever the main symbol on this chart is, put that in this $ symbol space. So instead of having to retype that symbol every single time into this parameters box, you can just say $ symbol colon VTI. That's going to pull in CCRN, put that in that kind of $ symbol spot. And now what we end up getting is a price performance line of that ratio symbol. I've got that positioned above my chart because it's really, really important for me. I use a solid thick line. I make that black, and I've actually modified the height just a little bit. So once we hit update on that, that actually adds this relative strength line. So again, we were seeing CCRN be incredibly strong here across all of these time frames, not just on price itself, but also price performance relative to, again, VTI. When we jump over to that CCRN chart, we can see that this relative strength line has been incredibly strong. This is a stock that's actually been kind of bucking the trend of the total market this year, has actually been able to find its way higher, made a nice little breakout a few sessions ago, and has been outperforming the market. We can see that by this line going up. So again, if I'm looking at the chart, I know this thing is outperforming on a relative basis, and I can see that reflected across a whole bunch of different time frames here on that performance tab as well. So that's how you can kind of start to combine this performance view with the charts themselves. That package of performance view with the relative strength, little customization there, and having that relative strength line on your charts themselves, I find that to be incredibly powerful. So again, you can use this for a variety of purposes. We're kind of talking about a watch list now. We were looking at the S&P 500 before, but for instance, if you wanted to use this with something like US equities, okay, how have all the different major equity indexes performed relative to whatever your benchmark is, whether it's VTI or the total market? This is a list from my account that has a lot of the major indexes put in here. So we've got things like the Dow Industrials, the S&P 400 and 600 and 500 down below as well. We've got a whole bunch of these different indexes. We can actually sort this by name to kind of see them all. I even have VTI in here, but this is kind of my list of all the major equity indexes. This is a chart list that I look at every day to see how things are performing. We can actually take off that benchmark to kind of see what this looks like. So here we've got all of those major equity indexes across all those different time frames. We can see that it has just been a bloodbath for a lot of these year to date. Everything has moved lower. If we wanted to think about these though in terms of relative strength, how have these done versus a benchmark? Again, we can type in something like VTI or $SPX, whatever our benchmark is. We can actually see how those different indexes have outperformed or underperformed our benchmark across all those different time frames. We could do a similar thing. This is one that I like to do as well with the sectors of the market. Now, these are S&P 500 sectors, so I do actually like to use SPY as the benchmark with this one. But you could put all the 11 sectors of the market, put those in a chart list, and then drill into relative strength across time frames for those different sectors. Again, we can do something like year to date. we can see that energy, which we know has been incredibly strong, has really massively outperformed the S&P 500 itself by nearly 74% this year. So this is a nice way to think about the sectors, not just in terms of their own performance, but also relative to the S&P 500, relative to whatever your benchmark is. So hopefully this has given you a nice thorough tour here of the performance tab for SharpCharts, giving you some ideas of how you can use this as well, not just with your portfolio or with a watch list, but also to dig into the markets, drill into relative strength in different corners, industry groups, sectors, indexes, all those different things. And for all you crypto traders out there, you could obviously use this for crypto as well. Put all the cryptocurrencies in a chart list, benchmark them relative to maybe Bitcoin or Ethereum, whatever you want to use as kind of your primary. So you could see those different cryptocurrencies benchmarked against sort of one major one, see how those performances have been doing throughout the year or across all those different time frames. So now with that out of the way, I do want to jump over to ACP really briefly. We're not going to drill into everything again, but we'll show you how you can access this same view, same kind of tool over in ACP. So let's jump over there now. I've actually got a tab, so I've got it pulled up right away. So what we are in right now is ACP. This is our interactive advanced charting platform. Of course, lots of cool things that you can do with ACP. You can move in and out, zoom in and out of time. You can, of course, jump to specific time frames as well. So if we wanted to view something like 1.5 years, that's typically what I use on my charts. You've got so many cool features here in ACP, a little bit more of a kind of interactive, immersive experience relative to SharpCharts, but both tools are still very much loved by us. Neither tool is kind of dominating. We like having the interactive experience and having that more kind of static charting experience with SharpCharts. And SharpCharts is getting some huge love right now. We're actually building the next generation of SharpCharts that we're hoping to release next year. So little plug there for SharpCharts, but gives you a sense of kind of SharpCharts and ACP, how those fit into the whole StockCharts ecosystem. Anyways, here in ACP, down at the bottom, we have what we call the drawer. That's one of the places that you can view your chart lists, and it's the place where we've integrated the performance tab with that unique relative strength view as well. So down at the bottom here, this is typically open in kind of a minimized format when you first come to ACP. You can click that arrow though, and actually if you click and drag on this, you can actually move this window up and down. You can even maximize it too if you want it to sort of take over the entire screen. You want to really kind of focus on whatever's in the drawer, and then you can minimize it back down pretty easily. So some nice little controls that you have over this thing. But what's cool is that you get your chart up above, and then you get that drawer with access to all of your different chart lists. It's a really nice kind of layout. Personally, I really like to use this kind of layout in ACP. You can also open chart lists from the right-hand side of the screen if you want to open your chart list in kind of that sidebar format as well. But you got a couple of different options there. When you open a chart list in ACP down in the drawer, you'll notice that you have a couple of different tabs. So instead of a menu to select different views, we have tabs going horizontally across the screen. So we're looking at our summary view here. We've got that same S&P 500 list that we started with. We've got that summary view to start, but we can easily flip over to the performance tab. Now we're viewing exactly the same thing that we just did in SharpCharts. We've got all those different time frames. We've got our stocks, our S&P 500 stocks in that table, and we can sort by any of these different time frames. So if we wanted to view, for instance, year to date from bottom to top or top to bottom, we can sort by any of these columns. Same exact thing as what we looked at in the SharpCharts world. Now, we've got our compare to box in the top left as well. So if we wanted to compare all of these S&P 500 stocks to SPY, there you go. You can see we're doing the exact same thing now. It takes a second to calculate all those, but we've got all of these reformatted as ratio symbols, and we're looking at our exact same relative strength values across all those different time frames for everything in the list. Now, one of the cool things too is that ACP updates on the fly automatically, so everything is kind of flashing around the screen here. That's what you can see all those price changes are doing. So you're getting up-to-date data as you just kind of let this thing sit. But the same kind of concept goes. You can click on the name or click on the symbol to actually pull up a chart for any of those. And then easily Minimize that drawer. Now you got your full screen chart. And again, we've got our relative strength line up top. So with ACP having the charts and the list right there kind of next to each other, it's a really, really nice way to kind of flip through those charts. Now you could minimize this down just a little bit so you still get some of those values. You can actually click through using these arrows. So here we're now looking at EQT. You can see that little blue bar moved to highlight the next symbol in the list. So we can actually start to flip through this list. We've got a couple of different options there. So it's very, very cool how you can use this this drawer. But we've got that same performance view in ACP, exact same concept. Everything that we looked at in SharpCharts is also available here in ACP with the performance tab. So that is our show for today. I want to thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for joining me on another episode of StockCharts in Focus, digging into relative strength, talking about some of the different ways to use this new performance view, that multi-timeframe relative strength analysis. This is something I personally love. I know so many of our other contributors love talking about relative strength as well. Really, it is the secret to success. You can get a stock that's going up, but it's not outperforming the market. Well, why own it? Why not just own the market itself? So these tools really allow you to dig into relative strength across a whole bunch of different time frames, combine that with the chart for a pretty powerful package. I think as you start to incorporate this into your own process, you'll see. Hopefully this has given you some good ideas too for your charts, having that relative strength panel at the top or at the bottom, wherever you want to position it. I find that is a beautiful, beautiful thing to add to your charts. A lot of technicians do that, thinking about relative strength and price together on the same screen. So you can combine this performance view with that relative strength concept, add that in with your relative strength charts that you have as well, and then you got the full package right there for you on StockCharts. Again, you can do this in SharpCharts, you can do this in ACP. The concepts are the same. Either use that price or price performance indicator, look for that performance tab down in the drawer, sort by those different time frames. Everything holds across both platforms. So in either world, you can really dig into relative strength from a new angle. We're kind of leveling up your relative strength analysis here with these tools. So again, I want to thank you so much for being here on the show today. Remember, we do this every Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern time, up on the live channel, also up on our YouTube channel after that, and the on-demand platform at StockChartsTV.com. So you got lots and lots of different ways to watch. But we're here every Friday, digging into the site, looking at tools, looking at features, and like I always say, helping you get more value out of StockCharts. That's our mission here every Friday. Just giving you ideas, giving you different ways to use the platform, use the site, use all those different tools and features that we're building. Plus, whenever anything is new, we always announce it here. So we've got so many new things coming in the next couple of months, especially. We're going to have some big announcements. I don't want to spill too much soon. But like I said earlier, we're actually working on kind of the next generation of SharpCharts. We teased that a little bit at ChartCon last week. We've got lots and lots of very cool tools and features rolling out. Big projects, lots happening, and this, of course, is going to be the place to hear about it. StockCharts in Focus every Friday. So look forward to joining you for more as the coming months bring so many new things to StockCharts. And of course, in the meantime, we'll also keep having fun digging into the site and, like I said, helping you get more value out of everything StockCharts has to offer. So my name is Grayson Roze, Vice President of Operations here at StockCharts.com. It's been good to be with you. I will see you again next week for another episode. But until then, chart on, my friends.
Hey guys, Dave Keller here with StockCharts.com. Thanks so much for watching our video. If you enjoyed it, and we hope you did, hit the like button right below. Also, we have so much new content every day. Consider subscribing to the channel. Just hit the subscribe button in the video or right below. Thanks for watching. Stay safe. Have a fantastic day.